I'm assuming that was a pretty big sigh of relief when you finally got that officially done, like over the goal line and got him here.
Yeah, we were confident from day one. Just a lot of work had to go into it, and we had so much urgency on our side because Ilas was ready to come over and work out with the team this summer. We just had to go through that process. So a lot of people helped, certainly at Ole Miss, administration, compliance, academic people, support. Appreciate key support from day one, but ultimately just really happy for Ilas. It's you guys just met him briefly, but you can tell you're dealing with a special dude, and so I've always just thought it's really cool. We've had so many great international players from the very first team I coached to this year's team. Not just Ilas, but just the experience for those guys to come over and be in the States and get an education. So, yeah, basketball is obviously the compass and the decision maker, but also just excited for him to have this experience. I had a chance to go to Europe one time and coach in the Eurobasket, and those 9 weeks, it was just special. The basketball was elite, but just also the life experience. So I'm just happy for Ilas in so many ways and his family. Obviously, the basketball is a priority, but I think he's off to a great start just enjoying college life too. Like I really wanted to sit with him at the football game because I've experienced this before with other international players. To me, it's just awesome, And so I got down on the field. We had a recruit in town. We were doing the whole on-the-field deal that we do. And I think, man, where's Ilas? Just making sure that he knew. And then, Coach, he's already up there. And I looked up in the student section, and he's like on the third row right there behind the military young men and stuff right there in that corner. And he just smiling. So that's pretty cool too. Like we talk to our guys a lot about balance. We do believe we work really hard here. We don't believe anyone works harder than us in college basketball. We put in the work, but we also really try to encourage you guys to have some balance in your life. Starts with faith and family, and then enjoying your time in Oxford. And so one of the cool things these first couple of weeks is I do believe Ilas is enjoying college. I think he's been out in town a little bit, went down to the squares, connecting with his teammates, and so those things I think are important to winning. It's a long season. You can't get too high or too low. Relationships can get you through a lot of tough times, and they can sustain success in times of good things. But no, we're pleased to have him, not shying away from the expectations that he has for himself and that we have for him. We expect him to be a big, big part of our team.
As far as the basketball, and since you didn't get the summer, you got here a little late, what is that transition? You've been, again, at Eurobasket. What's he dealing with as far as transitioning in that way, and now that he's here?
Yeah, the undeniable positives are just his IQ and his ability to pick things up quickly. You basically just tell him, hey, here's what we're trying to do, here's why we're doing it, here's how we're doing it, and it's a one-time conversation. And so that's his IQ, his experience, just his basketball feel, similar to other players we have on our team, right? We have a lot of other one-year players on our team as well. I think just, first there's some officiating differences. Ball pressure is the playmaker is a little bit different in Europe as in college. So teaching him on the court and in the film room, just getting him where he understands to have the differences in the game, the rim protection, the physicality in the post. So there's just some differences in the game. But again, I have a lot of confidence that the learning curve will be quickly because he's really smart. He's experienced. And he wants to be here. He chose Ole Miss for all the right reasons, and he's a great teammate. I don't want to speak for our players, but I'm pretty sure if you ask any other guy on our team, hey, are you enjoying playing with Ilas? The answer is a strong yes. He knows how to play basketball. He'll turn down a good shot to try to get a teammate a great shot. He'll make a play on defense. He celebrates other people's success. He has a confidence about him. He's a good player.
That first phone call, I think you said in May, was that a tough pitch to call Ilas up and say, let me tell you about a place called Oxford, or what was that like from your perspective?
Yeah, I've never looked at recruiting in terms of tough. To me, recruiting is us educating ourselves on the player and helping the player get educated on us. I tell recruits this often. Last time I had this conversation was on Sunday morning. Like, I've never think recruiting to me is not salesmanship. It's not me trying to talk somebody into something. That's just not how it works, especially when you're as talented and experienced as some of our players are, Ilas included. It's just more about, first listening more than we talk to try to find out we understand exactly what this player is looking for, and then just trying to educate them on who we are. And certainly with portal recruiting, it all happens fast. But that first conversation with Ilas, it was, he had some very clear questions. We had some clear questions. It was a basketball decision, and we started describing our culture in Oxford, Mississippi, and the chance to work towards a degree here and things like that. That's when the conversation got kind of personal. But Ilas, again, I don't want to speak for him. He's pretty clear in what he was looking for. He was in a great situation in Europe with basketball, but this situation gives him another avenue. It makes him uncomfortable in a lot of ways, and great players want to get uncomfortable. Great players want to be pushed. I think the fact that we're in the SEC didn't take Ilas long to educate himself on that, and if he was going to make this trip across the world, he was coming to play at the highest level. And fortunately for us, we're in the SEC, and that is the highest level right now in college basketball.
Did you help him with his Chick-fil-A order, or kind of how did you set him up on it?
That's a good question. It was just kind of buffet day, so I think he got the sandwich. First question is always, do you want the pickle or not? We got the nuggets. He did not get the waffle fries, to my knowledge. Chick-fil-A's got a little tricky deal going on, which I support. It's like we did this in junior college in Division II. You order the sandwiches and the nuggets, a couple hours before. And the waffle fries, if you don't have an air fryer, if you don't have a place to keep them warm, they get pretty average pretty quick. So Chick-fil-A, being the geniuses they are, they've got the waffle chip. You know what I'm talking about? And so, yeah, on a junior college game, that 18-hour ride home, the chips make a lot of sense. But I was disappointed, personally, that Ilas wasn't able to get the waffle fry. I would think, at the SEC at this level with our resources, that we could maybe keep the fries warm for a while. So, I personally voiced my opinion to the nutrition people here. To me, it was just a wasted opportunity. I mean, you got a chance for Ilas to have his first waffle fry in America while we're all here together as a team, and we got chips. So it was disappointing.
But as far as how he's ingratiated with his teammates and stuff, you mentioned how they love playing with him on the floor. But, that cultural barrier and trying to, blend him in with the chemistry, how's that all come together?
Yeah, I think really well. I don't want to speak for everybody, but first of all, there's no entitlement on either side. Ilas is just a good person, good dude. So is everybody else on the team. So it kind of starts with that. And then I think, again, this basketball will permeate pretty quickly into relationships and stuff. So, when a guy knows how to play and he plays the right way and he moves the ball and he tries to learn, then you want to play with those guys. So early indications, and we knew this from recruiting, you're talking about a guy that came here to help our team win. Does he have personal goals? Yeah, no different than AJ and, Corn and everybody else. But to him, I think he has a lot of confidence in who he is and the experience he has. So, simply stated, he's here to help Ole Miss, help his teammates, become a better player. Then all the individual stuff will take care of itself through team success, and he understands that as well as anybody I've ever coached.
How is Corn and other guys that are just, kind of still rehabbing, training, and trying to get back right?
Yeah, Corn had a good summer in terms of the rehab and then getting back to the court basically the last week, and then he transitioned back. So he's healthy, he's cleared, he's under no restrictions, but it's just the reality that he hasn't played basketball in a while, so it's kind of the rust on the game. But the improvement's going. I just keep telling Corn we just got to stack good days. We got to get a little bit better each day. So from a basketball standpoint, I think there's some positives there. Did you ask about anybody else?
Yeah, anybody else that were maybe dealing with injury stuff?
We've had some nickel dime stuff, bruised here and there. Klafke kind of had a summer with some adversity. He would just have something to keep him out 3 days. He'd come back and have a good day, have something else, keep him out 2 or 3 days. But he's healthy. This morning was our second preseason practice, and Klafke was very active. He was flying around like we all love to watch Klafke play basketball. So I think right now, for the most part, we're healthy. And so it's a big part of the journey. You got to have some fortune along the way.
Is the level that Ilias was playing in that league, is it pretty comparable to the SEC, or what are the expectations there?
Yeah, I think with most international players in Europe, they're playing at different levels, right? They might be on their junior team some. They might be up some, certainly in the summer when you play for the national team. So in my opinion, I would tell you that Ilas has played different levels of basketball over the last couple of years. Some of those levels, I would argue, are SEC level, or maybe higher, depending on how you kind of gauge basketball. I mean, to me, it's always been the NBA, the Euro League, and that's not necessarily A-B. In the Euro League, if you know anything about basketball, so you got the NBA and the Euro League to me, and then I think college basketball, BCS, in my opinion, is the next competitive level. No disrespect to all the basketball around the world, but just from my personal opinion, watching games, having players play in different leagues, coaching internationally myself in one stint, I would put BCS, college basketball, kind of the next level. So with Ilias, he's kind of played in all different spectrums. So I think he's prepared to play at this level. It's just going to be an adjustment with some of the things we mentioned today, officiating, physicality, and some of the rules too. There's some different rules in college basketball.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.